Hey guys, I'm here with I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it. It's Palinurus. But we're gonna start. This is a visual novel, and I thought I am a big fan of reading, so I thought I would bring you guys visual novels because I personally am a very big fan of them, and thought might as well do them on a channel. Hope you guys like this one. Haven't read this one before. So, Palinurus, the story of the ocean of stars. Joy, beautiful sparkles of the gods. Daughter, I'm not sure how to pronounce that either. Elysium. Mirabella Station spiraled ceaselessly in the otherwise unremarkable corner of deep space. I was waiting for my flight number to be called. I tapped a finger against my knee, eager to be on my way. I'd rehearsed this ritual countless times before. Mirabelle Station was hardly remarkable, as far as space stations went, though then again, who was I to say there were many truly remarkable space stations in the one place? Surely there were hundreds of millions of travellers passing in droves through Andromeda Central Station. Andromeda was a work of art, and performers, painters, composers would all gather in the artificially terraformed Central Plaza to be found an audience. It was a mosaic of colour, sights and sounds, a brazen horde of intergalactic human culture, like a Venus atop a sea of stars. And I was stuck here, at this grey factory-produced pit stop, waiting by my lonesome for my pilot's preparations to finish up. For as long as I could remember, space travel out in the boonies was like this: lonely, tedious, cramped, time-consuming, stripped down to the status of a commute that never seemed to end. Space travel as an enterprise was far too expensive and far too dangerous for allowing any short of a super mega corporation to handle the logistics. I glanced down to my ticket. Sure enough, there it was, Titan Transportation Solutions, in loud, bold, bleak font. They were one of the big players in the field, and they were the ones that footed the bill for, I don't know, thousands of space stations just like this one. And let's be perfectly clear here, space is big, enormous. Try to wrap your head around how infinitely spread out, how empty it all really is. You can't. To get anywhere of consequence in space, one must leapfrog through dozens upon dozens of space stations like this, scattered throughout the galaxy. I'd be doing precisely that for the better part of an old Earth month. So, rest assured, I was well rehearsed. I knew my lines. I could nail down the song and dance in my sleep. I was, at any rate, getting restless. There isn't a lot to see in space, just tons of tiny identical white dots and plenty of tiny grey check spots to pass through, but that was the price you had to pay to get anywhere. And sometimes, if you were lucky, you get the occasional nebula or debris cloud or band of pirates. I focused my attention on a silver spaceship which laid before me. I'd seen many like it before. It was small, intended for a single occupant. From the outside it looked relatively unremarkable. It was sleek, like an arrow. The cockpit stood out, the windshield wrapped itself around the front of the vessel, stopping just as the ship's nose began to flow downwards into its underbelly. Its exterior was sleek, its curved wings high like that of an albatross. Attention, attention, Mirabelle Station. The intercom crackled. We are now boarding one-man shuttle flight 93094B, shuttle flight 93094B. Passenger of flight 93094B, please secure your belongings and board immediately. Finally, that was just the notice I'd been waiting for. My flight was prepped and ready. I hurried down the main concourse of the hangar bay, checked to make sure the shuttle was marked with my flight number, and slipped inside. The cabin interior betrayed its sleek exterior. Lights along the walls and ceilings illuminated the passage. Their luminescence rippled through the cockpit. The floor was lined with dark navy blue carpet that travelled up the walls for a few inches. I made my way towards the cockpit, taking a look around. A cursory glance revealed 2 seats, confirming the hunch that this was a repurposed vessel. I remember that back in the day, every starship required manned pilots and co-pilots. I guess this was a relic from one of the old regime. There wasn't much room to move around in the cockpit, a horde of buttons, dials, flashing lights and other mechanisms which scattered around the control console. The cockpit was dominated by the enormous windshield that opened up to a commanding view of, at the moment, precisely nothing. Nothing but space and an ocean of stars. It was hard to get excited from such a sight anymore. Within moments the cockpit was bathed in warm blue light and a computerized voice began to speak. New passenger detected. Initiating registration sequence. I held up the ticket between 2 fingers just to make sure the system registered it. The blue light shifted around the small area and then dissipated suddenly. Passenger identification ticket code hashtag 09924003. Transit authorized. Spooling intelligent navigator kernel. Analyzing Anima complex, unlocking communication synthesis codec. Quantum processors are online. Database registries are online. Analytical engines are online. Actualization key is online, registering hex sequence and ionic bulkheads. Checking firmware for updates. 1, 2. Firmware is currently up to date. Checking sentience limitation codec. 1, 2. Unit awakening authorized. Intelligent navigator persona unlocked. Navigator 21109 CBP. Copyright Enucleus Intergalactic Transport Year 2520. Unit name Intelligent Navigator Budapest. Then suddenly the voice became softer, more polite, more feminine. Initializing. 1 moment please. Slowly it became more and more human. I heard something click above my head and glanced up to notice a small metal compartment intruding a multitude of lenses, like the more indecisive camera in the cosmos. So that's where it is. Inside it some mechanism wired to life, and the lenses began to twist, oscillate and extend. They focused on a single point, the pilot's seat to the left. Slowly a human figure co-ascended. Its form was translucent, accompanied by a dress white as ivory. For a second it seemed that it had caught fire. A brilliant red hair flowed from its head down to its back and shoulders. Delicate, feminine features emerged as one. Ears, a nose, eyes and a mouth curled in the polite neutral grin. 2 long slender arms trailed to 2 small and slender hands, collapsing each other in front of the flowing dress. The projection's eyes opened, revealing irises of striking sapphire. They look like planets glowing against the backdrop of deep space. It took all the appearance of a woman, but I recognized the emulsionation at work. This would be the personal navigator assigned to the shuttle, an artificial intelligence designed to serve humanity. Greetings, passenger sir. Are you doing well today? Yes. I'm doing fine, thank you. I took a second to ease into my seat, checking all over the belts and harnesses which stroked my hard suit. Time to head out again, I suppose. Time travel certainly does get exhausting after a while, but oh well, at least the navigator seems nice this time. AIs have become a fixture in space travel, but by this point, before you needed 2 pilots, at least to operate a vessel like this. But programs didn't need food or water, and they certainly didn't ask for I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Remuneration? I can't say it now, sorry. It was a convenient cost-cutting measure for the megacorps, and the switch was welcomed by customers with open arms. I'm glad you're feeling well. I am the Intelligent Navigator Budapest, and I will be accompanying you on this voyage. Now, let's take a look at your registration. The navigator turned its back to me, bringing up electronic windows of records and data, like it was conjuring magic barriers. People loved AIs for stuff like this. They brought all the efficiency of a personal planner, calculator and computer and stuffed it all into a pretty looking package with flair and style. By all stretches of imagination, they were wonderful workers. They worked tirelessly, they were quick thinkers, and you could customize anything about them to meet your own needs. It seems this navigator was left with its default settings though. Just as well, I didn't plan to see much of it from the cabin. The pilot seat had been retooled to fit its holographic generator, so it wasn't much use here anyway. Departing from Mirabel Station at 0400 Imperial Standard Time. Designation: Galactic Grand Central Station in the Alpha Centauri system. This is going to be quite the lengthy journey, isn't it? Not to worry, passenger sir. You have my word. I'll get you to Grand Central safe and sound. Some people ended up getting too attached to their IAs. Personally, I tended to keep my distance. At the end of the day, they were basically programs. Lines of code assembled to execute tasks behind the artificial visage of a living person. Whether niceties like uttered came from the mouth of some programmer or some psychologist in a clinic, or at least from a dialogue construction engine designed by such. Content to confirm my presence and leave the piloting to the navigator, I nodded in affirmation. We'll be launching from the station now. Please remain seated and harnessed until instructed otherwise. Roger that, sounding clear. I took a few paces to my seat in the cabin. Not too far from the personal navigator stationed in the cockpit, I lowered myself into the chair. I was surprisingly plushy. As usual, I threaded my arms through the safety harness and then clicked the connectors together. Leaning back, I turned my head to look through the window to my right. I hear the electronic sputtering and whirring of the engines disengaging from the hangar restraints. My stomach twisted with anticipation, and suddenly the shuttle lurched forwards. After a few moments of throttle, we reached open space and cruised our way out of the station, and it appears we are off. Currently at cruising speed of 4,000 km per hour, piloting navigational route now. Calculating estimate arrival time. So, passenger sir, do you travel often? Yes, very. But never with a navigator as amiable as yourself, truly, I assume. I laugh. It's pretty clever for a navigator. You come up with that, or your programmers. That line's one of my own. Thank you very much. One of your own, which you thought up using your processors your company built for you. Choosing your navigator is against regulations, you know. I ought to have you reported. Oh dear, I do apologise. I thought you said you weren't a novice to travel. I'm not. You seem like a greenhorn to me. Which of the other navigators have you even met? Collecting survey data for the company, I see. Don't underestimate me, navigator. I wasn't joking around about how much I've travelled. Let's see. There was Vienna, Warsaw, Chicago, Osaka, Chiang Mai. I get it. You've had your way with a bountiful cast of artificial intelligences. You make it sound so indecent when you put it like that. Oh, is that so, passenger sir? I gave a small polite chuckle out of respect, though it's not as if I was particularly obligated to show such social courtesies to a machine. It was just a peculiar personal habit of mine, which I'd obtained from spending so much time in transit. If you don't mind me asking, what'll you be doing once we arrive at Alpha Centauri? It'd better be something worthwhile after such a long trip. Is this how you screen for potential troublemakers? I wasn't planning anything shady now. The navigator let out a short, pre-programmed giggle. Goodness no, just curious is all. I asked the same question to all my passengers. Just curious. The navigator is just curious. Something of a tradition I have, A tradition it has? No kidding. I shrugged. Sightseeing mostly. Maybe I'd try my luck on ACB2. Ah, the planet. It must be unbearably hot at this point in its orbit. Oh, it's unbearably hot at all times. It's like walking into the core of a smelting plant. Aha, true. Any business down there? A corporate espionage, is that it now? Now, sir, I assure you, none of these questions were pre-programmed. I'm going to be piloting shuttles for time eternal. If you haven't noticed, you could afford me a little curiosity about my passengers, eh? It's almost morbid curiosity, maybe. That's putting me there. Maybe I'll scope out some mining prospects in the area. They say they find platinum down there. I could use it afford a square mil. More likely I'll end up digging some nickel and iron, but that'll be fine with me. Shoot from the moon and you land among the stars, or something like that. All that's for a meal? Pardon me for saying so, passenger sir, but that sounds a little reckless. Might be. Me, I'm not bothered by that. It's hard to scrape up credits in this economy. Besides, it's bound to be a pretty view, and who knows, maybe some lunatics had the same idea I did. Sounds like a wonderful adventure. You're quite the character, sir. I'll be rooting for you to hit its big. Thank you kindly for your well wishes. Coming from an AI, I didn't think much of it, but it was nice to hear aloud all the same. You're quite welcome. Now, we'll be serving a complimentary drink and beverage momentarily. Ah, that's great. I had to skip breakfast. The navigator smiled. After the meal, I went ahead to take a short nap. Snuggled into my cabin chair, I slept lightly, but well, I didn't dream of anything, but I didn't want to either. For some time asleep, however, I was awakened with a start. Sir? Passenger, sir, please come to the cockpit. I bolt upright, startled. Something must have gone wrong. Something seems to have gone wrong. I took that as my cue to rush over. As I stepped into the cockpit, warning lights and alerts began to blare, bathing the cockpit in a frantic kaleidoscope of colours the navigator had set to work. Oh? How interesting. What is it? Did something happen? Not to cause you any alarm, passenger sir, but there's been an incident. The shuttle's short-range radar has detected an incoming debris field. That doesn't sound good. Actually, in fact, that's a very bad thing, isn't it? Well, I wouldn't say very bad, but you might want to... Now, like I said, there's no cause for alarm or anything. Of course not. But you might want to brace for impact. A debris storm. I hurried back to my seat in the cabin to look out the window, squinting my eyes to see through the blackness of space. I could make out a few sparkling lights. Reflections. Yeah, reflections. The ship itself had bright, powerful lights attached to its wings, tail and under the cockpit, and every time they flashed I got a peek at some sort of approaching mass. Meteoroids. Hundreds, maybe thousands of meteoroids, drifting aimlessly through space, clustered together in a school. A relentless, soaring landslide of steel on a direct collision course with the shuttle. My heart sank deep down my stomach. Actually, no, it went past that. Plummeted straight down to my bowels. No cause for alarm, alright. We've got it under control. No cause for alarm. No cause for alarm. I repeated those words to myself more incredulously each time. I took a deep breath, steeling myself from what I feared was to come. Still as a statue, I closed my eyes, content not to watch it go down. Oh, that's not good. Tap, 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 tap. I could hear the sound of particle impacting the hull, the constant whine of ringing metal. They started sparse, spread out. Tap, 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 tap. Only a few minutes ago, the cabin had been eerily silent, and now a constant stream of sound filled it, like we'd flown into the midst of a typhoon. I could imagine the cold wind hitting my face, the fury of old Earth. I think it was better coping mechanism. I'd rather be lost in a thunderstorm on a terrestrial surface than weathering a debris storm in a dingy old shuttle in one of the most remote parts of charted space. I winced, popping an eye open. A heavier rock pounded against the hull, and the ship lurched to one side. It didn't seem like we'd sustained any serious damage yet, so I sat there, clenching my legs, wringing my hands in desperation, hoping the storm would soon pass. Wham, wham. Like fists driven by fury and rage, the meteoroids continued to pound against the shuttle. With each impact, the rock dug into the hull, denting it and pushing it against the cabin walls. The flooring pressed against my legs as a direct divot was suddenly formed. That was too close for comfort. Another larger meteoroid ricocheted off the window I was sitting next to. I flinched and reached in my seat. Look, I've been through worse than this before, alright? Way worse than this. I'm a veteran of the trade, an unsung hero in the artificial intelligence community, you know. This is nothing that I can't handle, so... Oh, that's bad? They came into sight. I saw enormous meteoroids, the heavy hitters of the storm, hurling themselves directly in our path. Even the awe-inspiring, holy light of the distant stars cowered in the shadows of this meteoroids. One was on a due course for the cabin. It was a monstrous, grey, jagged mass that glistened deviously. Its iron deposit reflected the flashing emergency lights of our ship. It was going to impact, and it was going to impact very soon. I swallowed hard and lowered my hands to undo my harness. My hands shook thunderously. I couldn't get at any switches at the belt. I tugged at the straps, but they would only seem to tighten. Come on, god damn it! Before all the strength had been drained from my arms, the belts miraculously disengaged. Passenger sir, you need to get into the cockpit. It's the most isolated part of the ship, and we can seal it if worst comes to worst. Oh dear. You have to get here now. I inhaled deeply and darted towards the cockpit. Crash. Shrapnel and sparks flew everywhere, lighting up the world in a blaze of yellow and orange. The entire cabin swayed and shook, and the horrendous sound of metal sheets rendering apart filled my ears. I slammed into the cockpit doors, opened it, let myself through, and they kicked it shut. Scrambling over the console, I sealed the cockpit door and engaged all the airlocks. My breathing was frantic, my vision blurred. I was in a panic when I saw a pale figure of the navigator scrolling through monitors and screens and spreadsheets. It comforted me, at least a little bit. That one was especially bad. Damage report? The hull's been breached. You're lucky you got here in time, sir. I took some time to settle in, trying to find my footing in the cockpit as the shuttle rumbled in the midst of the storm. I paused. I felt an odd sensation when my hands was resting on the windshield. I drifted my eyes down to take a look. A hairline fracture along the window pane. My finger ran along the thin, narrow line formed in the ultra-hardened glass. The splintered pattern it formed were remarkable, but it was paralysed with terror. Suddenly, another lurch forward. Another large collision. Damn it! Please, sir, take the co-pilot's seat and strap in. It's dangerous to remain standing at this time. Receptive to the machine's grounding, I staggered to my feet, watching my footing in a lopsided cockpit. Eventually, I sank into the plushy co-pilot's seat to the navigator's right. I glanced over to her. Hey, navigator, quick question. How the hell did you not notice the mess of meteorite bullshit heading our way? They didn't show up on a short-range radar. Their iron compound deposits absorbed the signal, is what I'm thinking. The storm came in too fast to be traced. I paused. So there was nothing we could have done about it. The storm had just been drifting through space and had just decided to ravage us in its wake. What the kind of freak accident? Are you alright, passenger sir? Are you hurt? That was a nasty beating you took. The program looked so concerned for me. Still rubbing my forehead, I waved its concerns off, groaning to myself. Yeah, I ought to be fine. Nothing I can't handle. What are we going to do now? Well, our vessel sustained critical damage, and we've been knocked considerably off course. And I am actually going to end this part here. I know it's quite a weird place to stop, but I'm not sure when would be the best time to stop this, so I'm just going to do it here. So press the thumbs up button if you like this video. If you have any comments on this episode or any other episodes series, or just comments on my channel, put them in the comments below. And if you'd like to see more of this or keep up to date with anything else on my channel, press the subscribe button. And I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Bye guys.